Alright, so on to how I take notes. Let me preface this by saying that I've heard from people that I take much more thorough notes, so don't let it scare you off. That's just how I am, it's how I learn. Like typing things down is part of my retention process, but not everybody needs that. I see plenty of people just like read from the book and take notes in the margins and that's all they use. So if that's the way you want to do it, that's fine. But this video is just about how I do it. Alright, so I'm going to show you an example of reading notes that I have. Okay, so these are my notes for my patents class, and so like I said, they're kind of dense. But see, I organize it kind of in an outline already, and this is just based on the case book. And most case books will be organized like this, where like there will be a chapter title, and then it'll be broken up into like A, B, C, D throughout the chapter. So that makes it really easy. You don't even have to like decide your own headings and stuff. And then I put like the cases. This is a case name right here. So then I'll have the case, and then behind these notes, sorry, let me find it. Behind these notes I will have the case, a brief. And I already explained briefs to you, I think, in my first or second video, so go back to that. But, so this is another example of a brief. I just write, like, the heading of the case. This is the case citation in case I need to go back. And this is, this is just the facts and the analysis, because like I said in that prior video, you don't always need the issue and the rule. Like, sometimes this is enough. So anyways, the point is, I have my notes. I have my notes up front, and then I have all of my briefs in the back, so that when it comes time to talk in class, I can just find my briefs behind, and they correspond. I know I've already said I take much more detailed notes, but another thing that apparently I'm alone in doing at this point is briefing. Most of my 3L friends do not brief anymore. And it's true that you get called on in class less when you're a 3L, but I don't know, it just makes me feel better to have it there, kind of like a, safety net in case I don't remember something. And when it comes time for outlining, which I'm going to talk about right now, it's a lot easier because I don't have to go back and like reread cases. Okay, so here is an outline that I have. This was from my first year actually, so more applicable to people that are wanting this to start out. So this was my tort outline, and this is after I had used it to study for my finals. So, when I first created it, it obviously didn't have all these markings, but so I create my outline usually on my own, and I just go through my reading notes and my class notes, and I take them together, and I basically just use the structure of the outline that I had in my reading notes, and then I add anything that the professor might have said in class from reading notes that might be important. And then I go through, and I try, so for cases, you don't want to like put a whole brief in there because then your outline's going to be way, way too long. So for cases, I try to just put one line of facts if I need them. Sometimes you can remember the facts from the case name, which is fun. And then I put a rule if possible, just, clear-cut one-line rule. Excuse me. And then any analysis that I might need. Starting in my second year, I started studying in this way where I would create my outline, my like first draft outline, and then I would go through and choose like one sentence that encompassed the case. So you should really try to do that, because not only is it helpful just because you're thinking about the case and like what it meant, but it's going to be so much easier to study. Like even if you don't get to use your outline, it'll be easier because you can just memorize one line, and then if you do get to use it, it's going to be easier because you don't have to sift through a lot of information. So yeah, with this outline, when I was studying, I went back. So instead of doing the one-line thing, because I hadn't really started doing that yet, I just went through, and after studying with people, I realized like what was really important. So the orange is kind of like what was really important, and I put little like notes in the margins. So yeah, this outline, I don't know how many pages it is. It looks kind of long. This is on the longer end for me. I don't really make that long of outlines anymore. This one's a newer one. My constitutional law outline was 19. This tort outline was longer. I know that seems crazy, but... And my trademarks outline was... That one's 19 too. Apparently 19 is my number. Yeah, so that's how I create an outline. And for me, creating the outline is the biggest study process because I'm like going over all the information again and synthesizing it, cutting it down, putting it into like bite-sized chunks. And yeah, that's what works best for me, honestly. Also, when I was going through looking for outlines, I found... Oh, you should keep your outlines because when you study for the bar, you might find them helpful. I don't know how helpful because I obviously haven't studied for the bar yet, but I thought, property is going to be on there, constitutional law, might as well save them. And maybe that will be easier. So I also found my my grading from my moot court class, like because we had to do an oral argument in front of real judges, and so I found my comments on that, which was kind of nice, made me feel good. And then I found my brief for I don't know if you guys had to do this or have to do this, but for one of our classes we had to write an appellate brief, and it's based on a real a real case that's going up to appellate review. So it's super interesting. You have to get it like bound and everything. See? And then yeah, so actually I think I'm gonna reread over these, and which will be helpful because I'm writing this paper and I feel like I haven't written anything substantive since my first year. So because I wasn't on a journal or anything. So if you're not on a journal and you're not writing a paper your second year, somehow stay on top of that because I feel like I've lost all of my ability to like cite correctly or structure papers in general. So anyways, I hope that this was helpful. I know it's short, but basically I just wanted to let you guys know how I study and work. I don't really use flashcards or anything like that. I did for torts because it's kind of a different type of class to study for. It lends itself well to flashcards because there's a lot of torts that have like elements. You can put them on the back of a flashcard. But in general, for me, the biggest study part is creating the outline, and then beyond that, it's just kind of looking it over a few times before class, and hopefully that class lets you use the outline. And then another thing that I think I've mentioned that's extremely important is to look at old exams if they're available, because that's just the best indicator of what the professor expects. Every professor is going to be different. For example, one type of professor is the one who expects you to throw in everything, including the kitchen sink. You know that phrase. Which just means you just need to like recite everything you know, even if you don't think it's relevant, because they're going to take off points if you don't. So yeah, and you wouldn't know that unless you looked at their exams, because you might think, oh, they're a professor who prefers it to be concise. So definitely look at that if you can. And my advice is just take as thorough notes as possible so you don't have to, fill in the gaps at the end. Yeah, so I hope everyone's having a good week, and not sure what I'm going to talk about next week, but if anyone wants to give me suggestions, that would be great. Okay.